princess and has reportedly shared details about her late mother Queen Elizabeth II's final wishes, particularly concerning Queen Camilla's role in the monarchy.
How does a single glance from a royal spark global headlines? During King Charles III's coronation, focus quickly shifted from the crown to Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. Their paths to this moment couldn't be more different. Anne, the monarchy's steadfast workhorse, contrasted sharply with Camilla, whose rise came through scrutiny and gradual acceptance. Behind the scenes, did Anne's traditionalism clash with Camilla's new role? And how did both women shape the monarchy's biggest transition in over 70 years? Let's dive into details. For decades, the British royal family has fascinated the world not only for its ceremonial splendor and time-honored traditions, but also for the subtle dynamics that shape its inner circle. Among the lesser-explored relationships within that world is the quiet, formal, and sometimes visibly distant connection between Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. Though both have played pivotal roles in the monarchy, they have done so in notably different ways and under different forms of public pressure. Princess Anne, the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, has long been celebrated as one of the most steadfast and hard-working members of the royal family. Her career has spanned decades of public service, including engagements with hundreds of charities, extensive international travel, and a notable commitment to military institutions. Known for her discipline, dry wit, and preference for practicality over pageantry, Anne has carved out a royal identity that is both respected and reserved. Camilla, now Queen Consort, entered the royal spotlight under very different circumstances. Born Camilla Shand in 1947, she was part of the same aristocratic social circle as Charles, the Prince of Wales, whom she first met in the early 1970s. Their early relationship was cut short when Charles left for naval service, and Camilla went on to marry Andrew Parker Bowles in 1973. Throughout the years that followed, Camilla remained part of Charles's life, quietly at first, and later at the center of one of the most scrutinized royal relationships in modern history. Princess Anne also had a connection to Andrew Parker Bowles. The two reportedly dated in the early 1970s, though their relationship did not progress toward marriage, partly due to the Church of England's restrictions at the time on marrying Catholics. Despite the shared history, there is no credible evidence that Anne harbored personal resentment toward Camilla over her eventual marriage to Andrew. In keeping with her usual approach, Anne has consistently refrained from engaging in public commentary about private matters within the family. As Camilla's relationship with Charles developed, especially in the years following Princess Diana's death in 1997, the monarchy found itself walking a delicate line. Public opinion was divided, and support for Camilla as a future consort was far from unanimous. Even after her marriage to Charles in 2005, Camilla was styled as the Duchess of Cornwall rather than Princess of Wales, a decision seen as a nod to public sensitivities. The Queen did not attend the civil ceremony, though she did appear at the religious blessing and reception held afterwards. Princess Anne was present, though reports at the time made little of her demeanor, and there is no verified account of her reacting coldly or expressing disapproval publicly. Over the next 2 decades, both Anne and Camilla continued their royal work, often appearing at the same events and fulfilling overlapping responsibilities. While Anne maintained her established position as a senior royal with a strong focus on duty and protocol, Camilla began to build her public image through advocacy work, particularly in the areas of domestic violence awareness and literacy. With time and careful public management, Camilla's standing within the royal family gradually evolved. Throughout this period, Princess Anne remained consistent in her approach. Keep the attention on the work, not the individual. She rarely gave interviews, and when she did, her comments were measured and focused on her charitable roles. Unlike many royals of her generation, Anne has made a point of staying away from discussions about interpersonal dynamics within the family, including those involving Camilla. The notion of a feud between the two has often been shaped more by speculation than by fact. Still, there have been occasions where subtle gestures and ceremonial interactions have drawn public interest. For example, questions about royal precedence, who curtsies to whom and in what order members of the royal family enter formal events, have occasionally resurfaced in media commentary. One such moment occurred during a joint appearance in late 2024, when Queen Camilla reportedly invited Princess Anne to enter a room first. Anne declined, respecting Camilla's higher status as queen consort. This exchange, though brief, highlighted Anne's enduring respect for protocol, even when it meant stepping behind someone who joined the family later in life. The evolution of Camilla's title has been one of the most symbolic shifts in recent royal history. For many years, it was believed that Camilla would be known as Princess Consort when Charles became king. However, in a statement issued during her Platinum Jubilee in February 2022, Queen Elizabeth II expressed her sincere wish that Camilla would be known as Queen Consort when Charles took the throne. The message was clear. The Queen had given her public blessing, a move intended to secure continuity within the monarchy as her reign drew to a close. This announcement was a milestone, not just for Camilla, but for the institution as a whole. The endorsement signaled that the crown was moving toward embracing a modernized structure, one that acknowledged reconciliation with the past and focused on unity moving forward. While reactions within the royal household were not made public, there was no official dissent or objection. Princess Anne continued with her royal duties as before, and no statement, official or otherwise, suggested she was personally opposed to the Queen's decision. In fact, in a rare moment of commentary on Camilla's role, Princess Anne expressed support during a 2023 BBC documentary. She stated that Camilla had shown outstanding understanding of her responsibilities and noted the positive impact that Camilla had on King Charles. It was a quiet but powerful endorsement, reflective of Anne's preference for understatement over spectacle. Despite the different ways in which they came to their royal positions, Anne and Camilla have both become critical figures in the post-Elizabethan monarchy. They share a mutual understanding of duty, a respect for tradition, and an ability to navigate public life with minimal personal exposure. While their styles may differ, both women operate within the same institutional framework, bound not by personal friendship necessarily, but by their shared obligation to uphold the stability of the crown. Still, their interactions remain closely watched, especially in moments where the royal family is seen together in high-pressure public settings. As the monarchy continues to evolve under King Charles III, the roles of both Anne and Camilla will remain central to how that evolution is perceived by the public, the press, and the global stage that follows them so closely. While Princess Anne continued to represent the monarchy with her trademark blend of duty and discretion, Camilla's role within the royal family began to expand. Following her marriage to Charles in the year 2005, Camilla was formally styled as the Duchess of Cornwall. Though technically entitled to be Princess of Wales, she chose not to use the title publicly out of respect for the legacy of Princess Diana. This decision was viewed by many as a gesture of sensitivity, especially in a period where the public's acceptance of Camilla was still cautiously developing. Camilla's entry into royal life was gradual, measured, and deliberately low profile. She undertook engagements with carefully selected charities, focusing on issues like domestic violence, sexual abuse, and literacy, areas not traditionally covered by other senior royals. Her early appearances were often tentative, but over time, her comfort with the public eye grew. By the late 2010, Camilla had become a regular presence at state functions, foreign tours, and royal celebrations. For many observers, this transition was not simply about public acceptance, it was about institutional endurance. The monarchy, shaped by centuries of tradition, was adapting, and Camilla's image was being refashioned not as an outsider, but as a partner to the future king. Through all of this, Princess Anne remained focused on her own extensive workload. Year after year, she consistently ranked among the royal family's most active members. Unlike her brothers, Anne rarely made headlines, nor did she attempt to capture public affection through interviews or media appearances. Her reputation was built on substance, quiet, unwavering, and distinctly no-nonsense. As Camilla's public standing rose, Anne's remained steady, albeit overshadowed at times by the growing attention on Charles and his new wife. In 2012, during the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, Camilla was increasingly seen standing beside senior royals on the balcony of Buckingham Palace. It was a symbolic display of unity and hierarchy, reflecting the shifting center of power in the royal household. Still, commentary about the internal dynamics persisted. While there was no public sign of discord between Anne and Camilla, reports from royal correspondents hinted at a sense of cool professionalism between the two women, cordial, cooperative, but emotionally distant. 6 years later, in 2018, another pivotal moment occurred. Queen Elizabeth II opened the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in London with a personal appeal that her son, Prince Charles, be appointed as her successor to the symbolic role of head of the Commonwealth. This was not an inherited title. It required the consensus of all member nations. The Queen's public request was viewed as both a statement of confidence in Charles and a gesture of stability. Charles was approved shortly after. Camilla stood by him during the summit, cementing her presence not just in national, but international royal representation. Though never mentioned publicly, it's likely this transition would have resonated deeply with Anne. For decades, she had been one of the Commonwealth's most active royal ambassadors. Her work with the Save the Children Fund and military organizations had taken her across the globe, often to areas where royal visits were rare. While Camilla's presence at the Commonwealth event was ceremonial, Anne's involvement in the same institution had been hands-on for years. The contrast was subtle, but not insignificant. Then came the Platinum Jubilee message in February 2022. Queen Elizabeth II, marking 70 years on the throne, issued a statement that reshaped the future of the monarchy in a few carefully chosen lines. In it, she expressed her sincere wish that Camilla would be known as Queen Consort when Charles became king. The statement carried considerable weight, not only because of what it said, but because of who said it. The Queen had rarely spoken so personally in official communications. This message, released during a time of celebration and reflection, served as a symbolic passing of the torch. The public reaction was mixed. For some, it was a moment of reconciliation, a clear gesture of forgiveness and support for Camilla's journey. For others, it was a reminder of the deep scars left by the past. Regardless, the statement made one thing clear. Camilla's role in the monarchy was no longer conditional. It had been affirmed, not just by Charles, but by the reigning monarch herself. Princess Anne did not issue a public comment, nor was one expected. However, her actions in the months that followed were watched closely. She maintained a full diary of royal engagements, including foreign visits and military ceremonies. As ever, her public image remained untouched by controversy. But according to several royal watchers, including seasoned palace correspondents, Anne was known to have held firm views on matters of tradition and royal rank. One topic that brought these tensions to the surface was the issue of royal precedence. In 2005, Queen Elizabeth had issued a document reaffirming the order of seniority within the family, particularly concerning who curtsied to whom and who entered official events first. According to this order, royal women born into the family, including Princess Anne, would take precedence over women who had married into the royal family, such as Camilla. This meant that in private royal settings, Anne would technically outrank Camilla. Reports at the time suggested that Princess Anne was a vocal supporter of this arrangement. Her reasoning was not believed to be personal, but rather rooted in principle, maintaining protocol, structure, and respect for royal bloodlines. Camilla, for her part, was said to be indifferent, preferring to avoid fuss over such details. In public, however, protocol shifted once Charles became king. As queen consort, Camilla now held a higher position, and Anne, ever respectful of the monarchy's framework, adapted accordingly. Amid these institutional realignments, internal royal relations continued to evolve behind closed doors. In 2021, reports emerged from palace insiders suggesting that Anne had become increasingly frustrated with the centralization of power around Charles and Camilla. According to unnamed sources cited in several broadsheet publications, Anne had sought more private time with her brother to express her concerns about the family's direction. While these claims were never officially confirmed, they contributed to the perception that all was not entirely harmonious behind the scenes. Camilla, on the other hand, reportedly made efforts to maintain civility and unity. She was said to have reached out on several occasions to smooth over differences, although it's unclear whether those overtures led to any significant personal reconciliation. What seemed more apparent was that Anne and Camilla had developed a working relationship, efficient, reliable, and free of open conflict, but lacking in personal closeness. Observers noted that in public engagements, Anne and Camilla remained perfectly composed. They stood together at ceremonies, exchanged occasional words, and shared in royal duties without incident. Yet, their body language often spoke of distance. Eye contact was limited, conversations brief, and smiles rarely extended beyond formal politeness. In an institution where image matters as much as action, these cues did not go unnoticed. Still, there were moments that hinted at subtle warmth, or at least shared understanding. In December 2019, during the royal family's annual Christmas Day church service in Sandringham, Princess Anne and Camilla appeared wearing similar shades of purple. Photographers captured a rare moment of lightheartedness when Camilla gently nudged Anne and gestured toward their near-matching coats. Anne responded with a faint smile. While seemingly insignificant, royal commentators saw it as a sign that, despite their differences, both women could share in the humor and rhythm of royal life. As Queen Elizabeth's health declined and Charles prepared to assume greater responsibilities, the roles of Anne and Camilla became even more visible. In official appearances, they often stood just steps apart, symbolizing two pillars of support for the future monarch, each shaped by different experiences and values. Anne, representing duty forged from birth. Camilla, representing evolution shaped by circumstance. Their quiet coexistence would soon be put to the test, under the intensified scrutiny of a modern coronation and the gaze of a public eager to read into every glance, every gesture, and every pause. In the months leading up to King Charles III's coronation in May 2023, preparations within the royal household intensified. The event would mark the first British coronation in over 70 years, drawing global attention not only to the ceremony itself, but also to the roles of senior royals like Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. Princess Anne, known for her unwavering commitment to royal duty, was appointed Gold Stick in Waiting, a traditional position dating back to the 16th century. This role placed her at the front of the coronation procession, riding on horseback ahead of the king. It was a clear acknowledgement of her seniority and decades of public service. Queen Camilla, whose public role had evolved steadily over 2 decades, was preparing to be crowned alongside her husband. Her use of Queen Mary's crown, refitted with diamonds from Queen Elizabeth II's personal collection, symbolized her full acceptance into the monarchy's ceremonial tradition. While public opinion remained mixed due to her earlier controversies, Camilla had earned broader respect through her charitable advocacy and quiet support of King Charles. During this period, both women maintained full schedules. Anne continued her engagements across the United Kingdom, particularly in military and charitable sectors. Camilla was more visible than ever, attending rehearsals and finalizing ceremonial details for her crowning. There was no public sign of tension between the two. Their appearances at state functions, such as Commonwealth Day, memorial services, and pre-coronation events, were marked by professionalism. Media outlets focused on their differing public styles: Anne's firm, composed presence versus Camilla's more informal and sociable tone, but made no claims of discord. A notable moment came during a rehearsal at Westminster Abbey. As Anne took her ceremonial place in the procession and Camilla finalized her preparations with aides, the two exchanged a brief nod, subtle, respectful, and indicative of a working relationship grounded in mutual understanding rather than personal closeness. Observers noted that the roles Anne and Camilla played reflected the evolving nature of the monarchy. Anne embodied traditional royal duty, forged from birth. Camilla symbolized institutional adaptation, her journey into royal life marked by gradual public acceptance and formal recognition. By early May, the royal family presented a picture of composure and unity. Princess Anne and Queen Camilla, while stylistically different, stood together as essential figures in the transition from the Second Elizabethan era to a new reign, linked not by friendship, but by shared commitment to the crown. As King Charles III's coronation approached in May 2023, the spotlight turned to the key figures supporting the transition. Among them, Princess Anne and Queen Camilla stood out, not for spectacle, but for what they represented: duty and evolution within the monarchy. Princess Anne was appointed Gold Stick-in-Waiting, an honor dating back to Tudor times. This ceremonial role placed her at the front of the coronation procession on horseback, underscoring her position as one of the monarchy's most trusted and consistent figures. Her appointment drew widespread praise from the public and press alike, recognizing decades of loyal service performed without personal publicity. Queen Camilla's role in the coronation was equally historic. Having faced years of public scrutiny, she was now preparing to be crowned Queen Consort. She would wear Queen Mary's crown, which had been refitted with diamonds from Queen Elizabeth II's personal collection. It was a symbolic gesture that reflected both continuity and acceptance of her position. In the weeks leading up to the event, both Anne and Camilla maintained full public schedules. Anne carried out military and charitable engagements, while Camilla participated in rehearsals and planning. Media coverage focused on their roles, not personal dynamics. There was no public indication of conflict. On the contrary, their joint appearances were marked by quiet coordination and mutual professionalism. Body language experts noted the contrast in their public personas. Anne, formal and focused; Camilla, more relaxed and conversational. Yet these observations were interpretive, not evidence of tension. In fact, during a rehearsal at Westminster Abbey, the two were seen engaging briefly in what appeared to be a respectful exchange, a moment that symbolized the balance of tradition and transition they both represented. Public opinion remained favorable toward Princess Anne, with polls placing her among the most respected royals. Camilla's popularity had grown due to her consistent charity work and visible support for the king. As Coronation Day neared, the monarchy projected unity and purpose, with Anne and Camilla playing pivotal roles, not as rivals, but as stabilizing figures in a royal family preparing for a new era. In the final days leading up to the coronation of King Charles III, the royal family stood at a pivotal moment of renewal. The public had turned its attention not only to the ceremony itself, but to the individuals who would define the future of the monarchy. Among them, Princess Anne and Queen Camilla emerged as two central figures, one representing tradition preserved, the other symbolizing transition accepted. On the day of the coronation, May 6, 2023, Princess Anne fulfilled her role as Gold Stick-in-Waiting with precision. Dressed in full military regalia, she rode ahead of the king's carriage on horseback during the procession back to Buckingham Palace. The image was striking. Anne leading the sovereign through the heart of London, reinforcing her place as a steady and senior member of the royal household. Her involvement was deeply symbolic, representing trust, loyalty, and unbroken service. Queen Camilla was crowned alongside King Charles at Westminster Abbey, wearing Queen Mary's crown. The moment formalized her place within the institution, a journey that had begun decades earlier, marked by public controversy, but gradually shaped by quiet resilience and consistent charitable work. The ceremony, steeped in tradition, showed the monarchy's ability to adapt without abandoning its foundations. Throughout the day, Anne and Camilla performed their roles flawlessly. Their appearances, though not directly interactive, reflected the professionalism that had defined their relationship for years. Observers noted that the two women remained focused, composed, and respectful of their individual responsibilities. There were no gestures that suggested conflict, nor displays that hinted at personal closeness. Instead, both carried the weight of the moment with discipline. The coronation highlighted their contrasting paths. Anne, born into royal duty, had long been the embodiment of institutional continuity. Camilla, whose journey into the royal family had been shaped by public scrutiny, now stood as Queen Consort, her place secured by both personal effort and formal endorsement. In the days following the coronation, coverage centered on the success of the ceremony and the dignified presence of the royal family. Princess Anne received public praise for her role, with many pointing to her decades-long service as the foundation of the royal family's credibility. Camilla's crowning was seen as a moment of resolution, a signal that the monarchy had embraced her not only in title, but in function. As the new reign began, Anne and Camilla remained pillars of a monarchy navigating change. Their relationship, defined by duty rather than closeness, reflected the royal family's enduring balance between tradition and evolution. With that, we have reached the end of today's video. If you have come this far with us, be sure to check out other videos on the channel.